A verdict of $1.8 billion was just reached against the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, by home sellers stating that because they have to pay to have access to their home listed on the MLS, it has caused artificially high commissions that the listing agent and the buyer's representative split at closing. And while this verdict right now is at a $1.8 billion dollar amount, it may even rise to $5 billion, with many other cases being brought against the NAR forthcoming. What is this going to do to realtor commissions in the future? We aren't 100% sure today, but we can make a good bet that for the future, the landscape of commissions for real estate agents is not going to be the same. I'm going to break it down for you in this video. What's up, guys? Real quick, if you haven't joined my free Facebook group, Residential Real Estate with Jaron Sustar, yet, you need to scroll down to the show notes of this episode, click the link to the Facebook group. It's completely free, fantastic place to network and collaborate with other residential real estate investors all across the country so that you can continue to grow your real estate portfolio. So I want to catch you guys up on what's been going on, because this is absolutely bonkers. And to be quite frank, I think it's been a long time coming. So if you've dabbled in the real estate industry, or even if you've just bought or sold your own personal home, you know that traditionally there is a 6% commission that the seller's agent and the buyer's agent split at the sale of a home. Traditionally, this has been paid out of the seller's closing costs when they actually execute on the sale of the home. But sellers are starting to say, why should we have to pay for all this? We should be able to negotiate what our commission is going to be on our end, and then the buyers should have to pay for their fee out of their end, and they can negotiate with what their commission is going to be with their buyer's agent. But what has happened, based on this article breaking down the verdict, is these NAR members, or these National Association of Realtors, have commingled to keep the commissions artificially high so that they can make sure everybody gets their split, because they understand that if there is a free market where sellers and buyers can negotiate on either side, there's a pretty darn good chance that they're not going to get paid as much as they are now. If we look at today's information age, how much value are realtors actually adding? Now, I don't want to sit here and say they're adding no value, but today we have access to technology that allows us to log onto an app like Zillow or Realtor.com, and pretty quickly we can find out what the price of our home should be. We can list it for sale publicly to anyone and everyone, all without the help of a realtor. Yes, do they fill out the contract? Do they field questions? 100%. So there's definitely some value there, but is the value offered for each transaction on each side of the transaction worth a guaranteed 3% on each side that the seller has to pay for? That's what everybody is arguing. And I want to walk through this article that I found. It was actually done by CNN. And the title says, after a $1.8 billion verdict, the clock is ticking on the 6% real estate commission. So what was the case about? Okay, according to this article, the cornerstone of the plaintiff's argument is that the NAR is forcing home sellers to pay an inflated commission that is then split with their agent and their buyer's agent. So home sellers are saying the fact that we're having to pay for access to this MLS is keeping commissions artificially high. The NAR, on the other hand, and the other defendants argued in court that their commissions are always negotiable. They also said that the system of having the seller's agent split the commission with the buyer's agent allows buyers who are already weighed down with expenses like a down payment, closing costs, inspections, and appraisals to avoid the added expense of having to pay an agent as well. And then it goes on to say consumer advocates celebrated the verdict and hoped that plaintiffs would also receive their request for the judge to order changes to how commissions are structured in the industry. And while already large, the award could grow even more to a total of $5 billion, depending on what the judge decides. And guys, that is just on this one particular case, could grow to $5 billion. I believe if we scroll back up to the top, that the verdict was handed down. It was in a Missouri court, and it found that the brokerage firms Home Services of America and Keller Williams Williams Realty were liable for the $1.8 million in damages. And then we also had Remax and Anywhere Real Estate, which was formerly known as Reology, which is the parent company of Caldwell Banker, Century 21, and Sotheby's International Realty and Corcoran. They settled out of court for $140 million. But word on the street is these are going to keep coming up. And this is most likely, number one, going to bankrupt the NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And then number two, it is going to absolutely change the landscape of how commissions are paid to realtors. Now, like I mentioned, this isn't going to happen overnight. There's going to be appeals in court. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process. But think back to the days when you had to pay a stockbroker to make a transaction in the stock market. Now, a lot of us watching this may not even remember those days. I know I didn't, but that was how the world was back then. If you wanted access to be able to buy stocks, you had to go through a stockbroker. Or as the article talks about, if you wanted to buy a plane ticket, you had to go through a travel planner. Industries like this have been disrupted for years. And somehow real estate has been able to escape it for some time. But when we look at the emerging technologies that come out and what is normal for the time that we live in, this wasn't going to last much longer. So what is it going to look like for realtors in the future? Well, I think the easy answer is there's going to be no more set commissions of 3% on either side. Yes, they are negotiable. There's people that are watching this who've probably done 2.5% commission on their side or 2% on their side. But the standard, and for the most part, is you're paying 3% on either side, and it's coming out of the seller's pocket at closing. So the first thing that I think is going to happen is, number one, they're going to split that transaction cost between the buyer and the seller. I no longer think that the seller is going to be paying the commissions for both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent when they close on a property. Instead, the buyer will pay a commission to their buyer agent out of their portion, and I believe the seller will pay their seller's agent their commission out of their portion. Now, what does this do for the dollar amount that agents are actually going to make as this progresses and unfolds over the months and years to come? Buy your first or next real estate deal in the next 90 days guaranteed, or we'll continue coaching you until you do. That's my guarantee if you join my rental academy. I've stumbled upon a process that is so powerful that I can sit here today and say, you can come into my world and buy your first deal in the first 90 days. And if you don't, I'm going to keep coaching you until you do. What we've done in the Rental Academy is we've removed all the roadblocks for you. I've already chosen the market for you. You're going to have leads generated automatically. Myself and my team's going to work with you to analyze those leads. When you pull the trigger on a property that you want to buy and you need to fund it, we've got lenders in place. And after you've closed on it, if you need to rehab it, great. We've got contractors in place. And if you want to keep it as a rental, we've got property managers in place. So you come into our world, we plug you into a proven system, make it easy for you so you can have success in your real estate investing journey. If you're interested, you can go to cowboysacademy.com, or if you go down to the show notes of this episode, click the link that says Cowboys Rental Academy, and it will take you to your next steps there. If you've been struggling finding good real estate deals, I've got a solution for you. It's REI Call Center. REI Call Center has professionally trained and managed cold callers to help you scale your real estate business. I think they give you somewhere around like 1,500 cold calls per day. Their clients have closed around $10 million from the leads they brought in. They got close to 200 clients going right now, and they're really more than just cold callers. Yes, they have their team of professionals who are making their calls, but they have weekly trainings and Q&A calls for yourself. They have training videos. They've got Slack channels with dedicated people to make sure you're successful. They've got checklists, cheat sheets, you name it. They've got you covered to make sure you are successful in your real estate journey. Well, how does it all work? Well, step one, you're going to pull a targeted list working with them from PropStream so that you can target the certain locations that you want to start buying properties in. Second, they're going to use their Zen call platform to start calling 1,500 calls a day per cold caller. They're going to then upload all the leads into Asana. You have a view of them, and you can go attack and start buying the properties that you see that pique your interest without having to do any other work. Look, I have worked a W-2 job while building my real estate portfolio. I've been raising a family the entire time, so I haven't had time to go and cold call myself. And that's where a company like REI Call Center comes into effect to be able to take that load off your plate so that you can generate leads, close more deals, and build that portfolio. We can reach out to them at reicallcenter.com, or if you go to the show notes of this episode, you will see a link that will take you directly to it. I think what's going to happen is like anything that happens when a market gets disrupted, prices are going to come down. Realtors are no longer going to be making 3% on deals. Instead, I think it's going to be a race to the bottom because no longer will seller agents be able to set their rate on the MLS and everyone else have to adhere to it. Instead, there's going to be negotiations. And so home buyers and home sellers are going to shop the market. They're going to negotiate to try and get the best price. And I ultimately think, and this is down the road as it progresses, that there will not be realtors at the capacity that there are today. Now, I want to clarify that a little bit. Like any industry, there will be people and teams who pivot and they find ways to create immense value in the new landscape that is provided for them. Those folks will flourish. There will be people who niche down and they start offering services for certain types of sellers, for certain types of buyers. They'll offer value that nobody else is doing, and they'll provide a solution to buyers and sellers that they just can't turn down. But the days of Karen and Joe deciding they want to go make some extra money, and so they spend their 60 or 90 hours getting their license, and they're all proud and they post it on Facebook, and they go and they do a couple of deals a year and they make an extra $10,000 to $20,000. Those days are coming to an end quickly, because the people who were using them will either choose the people who are now offering immense value, or number two, they will realize that we don't necessarily need those services to buy and sell homes anymore. Do you call a stockbroker to place trades, or do you hop on Vanguard, Fidelity, Robinhood, whatever your app of choice is? Do you call a travel planner to book your airplane and schedule out your trips? Some people do, because there are planners who do a fantastic job. But for the average person, for the majority, they go and they set it all up themselves. The same is going to be true in the real estate space as we move forward. And I have to say, myself as an investor, I'm pretty excited about the future of realtors in the real estate space. We have a lot of folks in the industry who, number one, do not understand the industry. And number two, they're quite lazy. They don't know what's going on. They're not educated. They wait on their phone to ring. And when people like that convolute any type of industry, it's not good. It only bogs the entire group down, and it can actually lead to bad reputations and bad experiences for the consumer. And so when we get those folks out of the way and we prune the tree, so to speak, I think real estate moving forward is going to be a lot more enjoyable on the transaction side. You're going to be working with people who are a lot more fit for the job, who care, who understand that they have to bust their butt for the consumer. And quite frankly, it's just going to add more competition to the marketplace, which is always good. So a couple things to leave you with. If you plan on becoming a realtor anytime soon, make sure that you are watching what's going on and that you are planning correctly. Put yourself in a position to succeed, add more value than anybody else in the marketplace, and you're always going to come out on top. Next is, if you're a seller, this is good news in the long run. I mean, sellers have been getting absolutely hammered on closing cost for who knows how long now. There's going to be a little bit of relief. You're going to be able to keep more money in your pocket. Number one, because you're probably not going to have to carry the entire 6% anymore. And then number two, it's probably not going to be that percentage anyways. They're probably going to drop moving forward. And so overall, I think this is a great thing for the industry, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. But I'm more interested to hear your thoughts. Go down in the comments below. Let me know what you think this is going to do for the future of home buying and home selling in America, because there is a big rumble coming and it is going to be fun to watch. Guys, if you haven't already, go down below and subscribe to the channel so that way you're notified when I release more videos moving forward. Like this video so it can get spread out to others so that they know what's going on in the market. If you haven't watched these two videos right here, check them out. And then lastly, if you're a real estate investor or you want to become a real estate investor, you need to join my free Facebook group that you saw at the beginning of this video, Burr Investing with Jaron Sustar. Go to the URL realestatewithjaron.com and you can join our free Facebook group today so we can teach you how to start building a rental portfolio so that you can change your life. I'll see you guys next time.